This is Luke chapter 1, verses 67 to 79. Zechariah's song. His father Zechariah was filled with the Holy Spirit and prophesied, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come to his people and redeemed them. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he said through his holy prophets of long ago, salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hates us, to show mercy to our ancestors and to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to rescue us from the hand of our enemies and to enable us to serve him without fear in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. And you, my child, will be called a prophet of the Most High, for you will go on before the Lord to prepare the way for him, to give his people the knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of their sins, because of the tender mercy of our God, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace."
Good morning. I dare also note your reluctance to reveal what you wanted under the tree. Might be embarrassing for some of us, wouldn't it? Nonetheless, I still want to ask the question, not what you hope for just this Christmas, but what is your highest hope? What do you want more than anything else? Now, it may be a Nerf gun. That's a possibility. But for most of it, it's something else, isn't it? What do you want for our nation, for our world? What do you want for the church? What is your highest hope? More than anything else, what do you want for the church? Do you actually expect to get it? Or is it the sort of hope where you think this would be great, but you don't expect to get it? Some of you are old enough to have heard of John Lennon. He wrote a Christmas song. Part of it went like this: "A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear." I knew some of you would hear it. It rhymes with year, so, But, that sort of expression, "I hope it's a good one without any fear." I don't think he believed that he was ever going to get that. It's a sort of hope, expectation that you don't expect to get. So what about your biggest hope and expectation? And do you expect it will happen? Okay, slightly different question. I always ask too many questions. Who has played What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? Oh, good. I thought some of you might have gone out of fashion. Okay, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? 1 o'clock. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? 2 o'clock. What's the time? How's it finished? What's the time, Mr. Wolf? It's? Hey, and at which point you? Thank you. Good. I just checking you knew the rules. Now, Zechariah sees what time it is. That's what this song is about. What time is it, God? Zechariah knows what the time is. It is a time of salvation and redemption. It's the time when God comes to save. Which implies that you can't do anything for yourself, so God is coming to do it. God has come to do it, in fact. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us. Now, he's referring back to lunchtime. So, a while ago, there was a king called David who had saved, in a sense, God's people, and by the end of his reign, brought them to peace. So it was his son Solomon who actually got to build the temple. But David had done that, brought peace. And he is saying now, someone similar but greater has come to bring salvation. And then he goes on and he refers back to a past even further back than that. How is that going to happen? It's by God keeping his covenant, by God keeping his promises, his relationship with his people, by God being faithful to those he had committed himself to show mercy to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham to rescue us from the hand of our enemies. Okay, that's the breakfast. It's a long time before dinner time. And that God had said, I will give you, Abraham, a lot of descendants. I will give you a land and I will bless you. And those you bless, I will bless. And through that, all the nations of the world will be blessed. I will make you into a great people and bring you with many people to peace. Zechariah says, it's now. That's what's happened. God is doing it now. And why is he saving? Why is he showing mercy? Why is he doing this? To enable us to serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. To stand before God, in the presence of God, serving him, holy, that is in contact with God, righteous, that is obedient to God, all of our days. From Zechariah's point of view, this is the final act. He was writing at, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? Dinner time. He's talked back to the times before dinner time when the promises were made and Messiah shown. Now it's dinner time. It's the end. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and has redeemed his people. It doesn't say because he will come and will redeem his people. He has come. Now, it took a lot to convince Zechariah. It was an impossible promise. He'd been promised that his wife was probably about 60, and he was probably about 60, would have a baby. Yeah, not believable. He was promised that this baby would have a great role and that God was coming to save. Yeah, but now he'd been expecting that probably all of his life. But people have been expecting that for hundreds of years. Now he found it really difficult to believe. Can't believe it, even though it's the angel Gabriel. Gabriel is the angel that comes, the last days angel. He is the one, he only appears in the Old Testament in Daniel, and now he's appeared to Mary and to Joseph. They only know he's Gabriel because he tells them. They didn't have name tags in those days. Angel Gabriel. But Gabriel is coming to announce the last days, and still he doesn't believe it. I sometimes am inclined to say to God, look, if you just send me an angel, that would help. I'd be able to believe then. Or if I could see you, that'd be helpful too. But Gabriel gets that. He sees the angel, gets the message, still doesn't really believe it. He doesn't say, Mary said, when she was told she was going to have a baby, how will it happen? Because she wasn't married. Zechariah says, how can I be sure? I would like a bit more than the angel Gabriel telling me. So what happens to Zechariah? He can't speak. Now, some of you that may be your highest hope as I began the sermon. But Zechariah couldn't speak. And when his son is born, he can. He bursts into this song and he names his son what he was told to name him. John. What does John mean? The Lord has been gracious. God's generosity, his graciousness is now. Jesus means the Lord saves. John means the Lord has been gracious. And he says that God is working now. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and has redeemed his people. Now, how could he say that? Jesus hasn't been born. He hasn't lived. He hasn't taught. He hasn't died. He hasn't risen from the dead. How can he say that? What has Zechariah seen? Who had just visited a bit before he was told that he was going to have a child? Mary. Mary, who was pregnant. And when John in Elizabeth's womb met Mary, who was pregnant with Jesus, what did John do? Leapt. Some of you know about leaving babies in wombs. But now Zechariah recognised that this baby in a womb was God saving. The time had come. All the expectation of breakfast, dinner time, afternoon tea, etc. Now it was dinner time. He had come to save, to redeem, to show mercy. Zechariah recognises God's final intervention. Now, what does he say about John? By the way, how comfortable do you feel with the description of what God is doing in keeping the promises or what he did with David and what he said to Abraham? How comfortable do you feel? Because it says both times salvation from not sin. Doesn't mention sin in that bit. From our enemies. Rescue from the hand of our enemies. It is a very concrete description, isn't it? It has a very Old Testament flavour. It is, I think, the sort of promise that was partly kept, well, it was in Eden, where you could stand before God and serve him in holiness and righteousness. In the Exodus, when they had the temple in the middle of the people and they travelled with God leading them day by day, they were in the presence of God. He was at the centre of their lives. And again, after David with Solomon, when peace was given to the people, they were to be serving him in holiness and righteousness. It's a very concrete image. But it's an image that still should resonate with us. Is not our hope and our current reality to be in the presence of God, at peace, and serving him in holiness and righteousness. But if that is to happen, does that mean that God is sort of Santa Claus? Hey, I'm a nice old guy. I'll let you be in peace. I'll save you. I'll be merciful to you. I'm a soft touch. Doesn't mean that. God really wants what is best for us. So if God is coming, you need to be ready. Coming, ready or not. And John's job is to make them ready. You see, that's what we're told next. John brings the knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of sins. His message is change sides now. Stop serving another God, serve the real God. That's what he's doing out in the desert, isn't it? Beside the river. Remember the crowds of people come out, and what is John's message? Get ready. God is coming. And he's come, but he will come in a way that you need to be ready. Who do you need to be ready for? Because of the tender mercy of our God, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven, to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace. Being on the right side, be ready. Now, I could, if I did the work, tell you all the Old Testament references from that passage. But you know what it's saying, don't you? Can't you feel it? Listen again. Because of the tender mercy of our God, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven, to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace. Get ready. That's the one who's coming. The rising sun will come to us from heaven. Shine a light so that we can see the truth and be led into the path of peace. He is the preparer. So get ready. And that's John's message, isn't it? And you, my child, he says to John, will be called a prophet of the Most High. And you go on before the Lord, before Yahweh, before God, to prepare the way for him, to give his people the knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of their sins. Such a great thing. That is what John's job is. Now, I don't know what you're sitting there thinking, because I am saying this is dinner time. There's nothing after it. The round of the game is finished, if you like. And are you sitting there thinking, yeah, doesn't feel like it. The world doesn't seem to have changed all that much. Doesn't seem to have made much difference at all. What happened to the peace? What happened to all the good stuff? It's not a new thought, if I might say so. When Peter wrote his second letter, I don't know how many letters he wrote, but the one we call his second letter, he wrote this: "Above all, you must understand, in the last days, scoffers will come, scoffing and following their own evil desires. They will say, 'Where is this coming he promised?' Ever since our ancestors died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of the creation." In other words, you're telling us that God has intervened to save and to show his mercy and to redeem, and I'm telling you nothing's changed. Is that right? It would be easy to believe that. We may not believe what Zechariah is saying. We may not, even if it was an angel who said it to us. What do we think? Some of you are old enough to remember the good old days when we all knew that the church year started in the last Sunday in November. No, you're all looking blank. The church year started in the last Sunday of November, I'm telling you this. And we then went through 4 weeks of what was called Advent, coming. And that's how the church year started, with Christians being reminded that Jesus was coming. And some people thought that that just meant getting ready for Christmas, lining up your Nerf guns. But it's not. It was meant to remind us Jesus has come and is coming. To remind us that this whole dinner time has arrived, and there might be a lot of running around associated with it, but Jesus has come and is coming. Is that our hope? Come, Lord Jesus, come. Do we hope for that? Or are we too distracted by other things? Or do we think, yes, that's a good thing for Christians to believe, very comforting, very nice, but I don't actually expect it to happen? And what difference does it make? How does it change anything that Jesus, that God has come? I think the answer to that is that for us now, we know that we stand in the presence of God wherever we are. If we are Christ's and have moved to trust him, then we stand in the presence of God now to serve him in holiness and righteousness all our days. The time has come for that. When we are working, when we are sleeping, when we are playing, when we are getting ready for Christmas, all of our lives are standing in the presence of God and living in holiness and righteousness. That has begun, and it will go on forever. About the church, Peter said a lot of things, but he said this: the end of all things is near. So you see, the church only a few decades after Jesus was still wondering about this. Peter said, so what's the application of that? Sit down, do nothing, wait? The application first, it says, therefore be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. If anyone serves, he should do it with the strength God provides, so that all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. See, it is the reality of being at dinner time is extraordinarily practical. It makes every aspect of our lives different. Because this reality is not just that God has saved you and you and you and you and you and you. God has been merciful to use collectively. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful life. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Since you have not received, once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Do you grasp the extent of how your hope, the greatest hope, I think, has been fulfilled? We have it now. We are the bride of Christ. We're not engaged. We are the bride of Christ. We have it. God has come. He has given it to us as we have turned to him. All we wait for is the consummation of the marriage. I have said Zechariah's song, because I'm old, a few times. We used to do it again in the good old days. It was true for Zechariah. It is true for us who have been prepared through the message of salvation, through the forgiveness of sins, and now stand in the presence of God, serving him in holiness and righteousness all of our days.